Somewhere out there, a stranger may still be holding a private key that can walk straight into your Linux server through SSH. No password needed. That's not a thought experiment. On March 29, 2024, security researchers found a working backdoor buried inside a compression tool called XZ Utils, quietly installed on almost every major Linux distribution on the planet, and gave it the highest severity rating that exists. Someone built it and spent years earning the trust required to slip it in unnoticed. We still don't know who that person really is. Compression tools don't get fan mail. XZ Utils is the plumbing nobody photographs. Shrinking files inside package managers, boot images, update systems, running underneath infrastructure most engineers couldn't even name. Outside a handful of mailing lists, nobody had heard of it, which is exactly what good plumbing looks like, which leaves one uncomfortable question hanging over all that invisible reach. Who was actually minding it? Almost nobody, it turns out, just a username. Jiatan, no verified real name, no verified country, no digital footprint before this project, just an account that appeared on a mailing list and started fixing bugs nobody else wanted to touch. Helpful, reliable. Open source doesn't run background checks, it runs on patches. And Jiatan had years of them, each one small enough to earn a little more access than the last. The person actually minding XZ Utils was one man, Colin, who'd run the whole project largely alone for over a decade. Unpaid, unsupervised, squeezing in bug fixes around an actual day job. No security team behind him, no company signing off on commits. Just one exhausted volunteer holding up a piece of infrastructure the rest of us assumed someone official was watching. Then the complaints started. Emails hit the mailing list accusing Colin of being too slow, too unresponsive, basically abandoning his own project, and nobody could quite place who was sending them. Multiple accounts, oddly similar phrasing, all pushing the same conclusion. XZ Utils needed a second pair of hands. Guess who volunteered? Jiatan, patient as ever, stepped up as co-maintainer, and Colin, exhausted, alone, grateful for the help, handed over the keys. Nobody could prove the pressure campaign and the new hire were connected. They didn't need to. The access was real now, official, permanent, and what he'd actually do with it was still, for the moment, invisible. And this is the part that should bother you more than the malware itself. XZ Utils wasn't some fringe hobby project. It was load-bearing, quietly stitched into critical infrastructure across the internet, maintained by exactly one unpaid volunteer with no employer, no oversight board, and no one checking his email for strange patterns. That's not a bug in open source. According to security researchers who reviewed the incident afterward, it's the business model. Access, though, is just an opening. The sabotage didn't arrive in one dramatic commit. That would get noticed. It came in installments, small patches, tidy formatting fixes, the occasional build system improvement, each one boring enough to sail through review without a second glance. No single change looked like a weapon, because reviewers approve code by asking, does this piece make sense? Not, does this piece connect to 40 other pieces submitted over 2 years? And nobody was asking the second question. Security researchers who later reconstructed the timeline called it a campaign, not an attack. Deliberate, patient, spread across roughly 2 years of ordinary-looking contributions, engineered specifically for the moment nobody would connect the dots. Most malware wants to be fast. This one wanted to be forgettable. which raises the obvious problem for catching this after the fact. If the danger only exists once every piece is assembled, where do you even start looking? You start where reviewers actually look. The source code, line by line. So Jiatan didn't put it there. The real payload lived inside the test files, the ones nobody reads because they're not supposed to contain logic, just junk data for testing junk data. Binary, unreadable to a human skim, so a programmer scrolling past just sees noise. What was actually sitting there was a functioning weapon, dressed as garbage nobody was paid to inspect. The disguise held for years. Then, in February 2024, it stopped being a rehearsal. The finished backdoor rode into 2 official releases: real, versioned, downloadable packages, the kind package managers pull automatically and administrators install without a second thought. This wasn't a test file gathering dust in a repository anymore. It was live software, sitting on a distribution server, waiting for the next update cycle to carry it wherever updates go, which, for something this deeply embedded, is almost everywhere. Almost everywhere, and almost nobody was checking. Almost because one developer named Andres Freund happened to be doing something unglamorous that week, chasing a performance complaint on an entirely different piece of software, Postgres. Logging in, timing it, noticing his SSH login was taking about half a second longer than it should. No alarm, no scanner, just a man, alone, mildly annoyed by half a second. Half a second doesn't sound like a threat model. It sounds like a bad Wi-Fi day. But Freund knew boredom-level annoyance from something wrong, so he did what almost nobody else would have bothered doing: profiled it, traced the delay backward through the login process, and landed inside the one place nobody had thought to check: XZ Utils itself. The private key from the opening turned out to be real, sitting right there, disguised as garbage data, a working skeleton key for anyone holding the other half. A stopwatch had done what 2 years of code review couldn't. That stopwatch triggered a scramble. Security researchers moved fast, racing to understand exactly how severe the flaw really was. There is no higher number the system allows. Researchers weren't just flagging a bug, they were flagging remote code execution on any affected server through the same login process administrators use to do their jobs, meaning the attacker wouldn't need to break in. They'd already have a key to the front door. So, what actually stopped this? Not a firewall, not a company's security team. A guy chasing a half-second delay on database software that had nothing to do with any of it. Pure, unglamorous curiosity, arriving days before the compromised versions spread from testing builds into stable, everyday releases running underneath actual production servers. Jiatan's account went quiet the moment the backdoor was found and never posted again. No arrest, no unmasking, no confirmed nationality, just a login that stopped somewhere. Maybe a lone hacker, maybe a state operation with years of patience and a mailing list account to burn. We still don't know, and whoever it was is presumably still out there, holding the other half of a key that no longer opens anything. The real lesson wasn't about one clever attacker. It's that the internet's plumbing runs on volunteers like Lassa Collin, unpaid and unwatched, and the next backdoor might not get caught by someone's mild annoyance at half a second. That's a story for another day.